It's been less than 1 year since Jabra announced the Jabra Elite 10 and the Jabra Elite 8 Active.
So why do both these products get a second generation? And why now?
One of these Gen 2 products is definitely worth buying.
Namaste, we're DHRME, discotheque harmonics reshaping music expression.
Before we get to Jabra's big claims on these new products, let's just spend one sentence on the similarities with the older generation. Are you ready? Just like the old generation,
you still get 4 tips in the box for the Elite 10 versus 3 tips for the Elite 8 Active.
The Elite 10 has oval-shaped tips and is semi-open, whereas the 8 Active has round tips.
There's grippier silicone coating on the buttons for the Elite 8 Active.
Both the products come with a wear sensor.
You get IP68 on the buds and IP54 on the case for the Active variant, and IP57 on the buds for the Elite 10. No IP rating on the case.
Both are supported in the fantastic Jabra app with tons of customizability.
There's Dolby Atmos-ness. Jabra's advertised battery life hasn't changed. It's still 6 hours on the Elite 10 and 8 hours on the Elite 8 Active with ANC on.
And there are physical buttons with the same music controls and call controls using those buttons.
And the same extra features like Google Assistant integration, Google Fast Pair, and Spotify Tap. So the first gen buds were not perfect. We've done 2 full videos linked up here. But now let's move to the differences between Gen 1 and Gen 2.
Now before we get to the sound, ANC and other performance improvements, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or should we say the button on the case or the cable in the box. Now you get a smart LE audio case as Jabra calls it, but what does this case actually do? You'd be forgiven for thinking that the button on the new case is just a pairing button. Let us explain. You plug in your USB cable to the case, plug the other end, either USB or 3.5mm, into an audio device. Now, this could be an analog amplifier that doesn't support Bluetooth, or your equipment at the gym, or even a laptop or phone you don't want to pair with, or a car that doesn't have any fancy Bluetooth but does have an audio jack. After you've done the plugging, take the buds out of your case, hit that button on the case, and voila, you get audio streaming from that device to your earbuds with the case acting as a Bluetooth transmitter. How did it work for us? Well, I measured the sound, so there was no real change in the sound. When connected using this method, it uses the LC3 codec to stream, which is nice. The volume control works, but not natively, obviously, and you will have to control the volume on your device as well. So what I would suggest is, if it's an amplifier, for example, set it to medium volume and then use the buds to control the volume just on the buds. I found that that method worked the best. Play and pause also works only if you're connected via USB Type-C, at least in the devices I tested with, but obviously it does not work with a 3.5mm headphone jack. Of course, ANC HearThrough will continue to work. They have nothing to do with the connectivity. The app is still usable on the phone to which you are connected to. However, it does not play audio on that phone, which was a bit weird. So I can see it's connected in the Bluetooth, the app opens, I can change the modes, etc. But when I hit play, the media just stops and I have to hit play again. It just stops, it just doesn't work. So I was not able to use a phone using Bluetooth and the LE audio case at the same time. And volume levels, well, I tested it with about 4 different devices, and it was very varying. For example, just take one device, the Asus Zenfone 9 that we have. It's a brilliant phone, by the way. When I connected it using the headphone jack, yes, this phone has a headphone jack, the max volume was much louder than when I connected to that same phone using USB Type-C. The maximum on USB Type-C is what I would consider normal listening volume. So there is that. So the volume really depends on your source device. A lot of birds today. Yeah. Now, what do we think about this? Look, this is not the first time that we are seeing this feature with wireless earbuds. Bowers & Wilkins has done this. We even reviewed those earbuds. Check that out somewhere here. But if it's a nice to have that you use once in a while, we don't think this is a very elegant solution, because it now requires you to have that additional cable on you at all times in the off chance that you need this feature. So again, if you need it, great. But if you don't, it's an additional feature sitting in your hardware that you're never going to use.
All right, let's talk about the active noise cancelling. The claim from Jabra is twice as strong, which is a strong statement. What does that even mean? Twice as good? What Jabra specifically claims is that they have achieved up to a 5 decibel improvement in the sub 100 Hz range and up to a 10 decibel improvement in the 400 to 700 Hz range. Then for transparency, or hear-through as Jabra calls it, this is what they've claimed for that. An expanded hear-through range from approximately 2 kHz to 6 kHz, providing 3x the transparency range and 2x the clarity in the extended range of its predecessor. Users can hear more clearly without the interference of wind noise, delivering a better listening experience than before. And again, natural hear-through is twice as effective. Anyway, here's a little taste. It's not going to be exactly the same as listening to the real thing because recording gear is not the same as our brains in a 3D space, but we hope it gives you an idea. In our testing, there was a teeny tiny improvement in the low end and voice suppression. This was only noticeable on the Elite 8 Active Gen 2. On the Elite 10 Gen 2, we really couldn't discern a difference. But that doesn't change things all too much, guys. The Gen 1 was already in Tier S for us, and these are as well. Then for transparency, or hear-through as Jabra calls it, in our testing, there was a noticeable improvement over Gen 1 on both the Elite 10 and Elite 8 Active here. The clarity of the environmental noise is clearer and voices sound more natural. There is still white noise and some occlusion though, but now we are very comfortable to bump up the Gen 2 to Tier A. Well done, Jabra. The Jabras still come with a wind reduction mode toggle in the app just like its predecessors. And as their disclaimer in the app says, it continues to struggle with cancelling out wind and keeping the same level of transparency, or ANC. Suppose you're in transparency mode and it senses wind, it will block it, but some of the noise along with it too. So on a bike, you're a bit less aware of your surroundings.
So if you read the marketing material about improved AI and wind meshes and things like that, well, you'd think that Jabra greatly improved its already pretty good microphones, but take a look at the real popsicles, icicles, and test.
Alright, a mic test on the Jabra Elite 8 Active Gen 1 with cars in the background, popsicle, ice, icicle, testing, 1, 2, 3, popsicle, ice, icicle, testing, 1, 2, 3. And this is a mic test using the Jabra Elite 8 Active Gen 2 with cars in the background, popsicle, ice, icicle, testing, 1, 2, 3. Popsicle, ice, icicle, testing, 1, 2, 3. And here's a mic test using the Jabra Elite 10 Gen 1 with cars in the background. Popsicle, ice, icicle, testing, 1, 2, 3. A little bit of breeze as well. Waiting for some more cars to come in. Alright, here they come. Popsicle, ice, icicle, testing, 1, 2, 3. Jabra Elite 10, noisy conditions with cars in the background. This is a noisy test for the microphones with the Jabra Elite 10 Gen 2. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle. Test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle. Ice, ice, icicle. Test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle. Alright, this is a windy mic test on the Jabra Elite 8 Active Gen 1. What a name. Pop, pop, popsicle. Ice, ice, icicle. Test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle. Ice, ice, icicle. Test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3. And this is a windy mic test on the Jabra Elite 8 Active Gen 2. Pop, pop, popsicle. Ice, ice, icicle. Test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle. Ice, ice, icicle. Test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3. Alright, a windy mic test on a bike with the Jabra Elite 10 Gen 1. Let's wait for this car to pass by. Alright. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3. Popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3. Alright, and now a windy mic test on the Jabra Elite 10 Gen 2. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Our view, the new generation is just different. It may be marginally better, but not really that earth-shattering. Okay, this section is going to be confusing, so just stay with me here. Now, there's no new codecs or anything, but Jabra's been a tamper-in with the tune-in. Now, let's start with the difference between the Elite 10 and its second generation. This is a subtle one, but also the more confusing of the two. The Elite 10 had some weirdnesses in its audio tuning, and that meant that it did best with EDM and hip-hop, like we mentioned in the comparison with the XM5. The Gen 2 has made some interesting choices. Instead of dealing with that mid-treble spike, Jabra has actually slightly turned the bass down, and now there's a weird bump in the mid-range. The Elite 10's tuning has gone from esoteric to slightly kooky. So on balance, it's a change, but not necessarily a completely positive one. The biggest difference when it comes to sound is definitely on the Elite 8 Active Gen 2. Compared to the Gen 1, it sounds like a completely different device, and in a good way. With just two small tweaks, the second generation has gone from, again, esoteric to better. Gone is the spiky mid-treble, and there's a better ear gain boost than on the first generation. What does all this gobbledygook mean? They maintained that mid-bass bump for workouts, which you need to power through your workout. But this means there are also no spicy treble peaks on instruments like hi-hats, and voices and lead instruments stand out a little bit more and a bit more clear. In fact, out of the 4 earbuds that we have here, I'd say that the Gen 2 Elite 8 Active probably has the best tuning, if you like that extra bass, that is. Now, Jabra also states something about improved spatial audio. There's better head tracking. Is this tracking my head? Okay. I have a genuine question, guys. Who's using this feature? I'm serious. Leave a comment down below. Tell me if you're using the feature and why you use it, because every time someone says something about spatial audio, I feel like I need some more space. All right, enough about sound and its frequencies. Let's talk about the visible frequencies of light and the
colors. Yeah, the Elite 8 Active and Elite 10 Gen 1 came in loads of colors. Now with Gen 2, they've introduced a new lineup with some new colors. For the Elite 8 Active Gen 2, they've kept the black and navy colors and introduced two new ones, coral and olive. We really dig the olive we have here. For the Elite 10, they've kept cocoa, gloss black, and titanium black and introduced two new ones, denim and this soft white. The soft white is what we have and is quite similar to our Gen 1 in the cream color. To buy or not to buy?
Before we start, as we said, the price difference between the two generations at the time of making this video is about $30. Now, when you actually see this video, that might be completely different. So check out the links in the description down below. So again, if you're one of those people who will really benefit from the smart case feature, go for it. That's a clear reason to prefer the Gen 2, you know? You can use your brand spanking new wireless earbuds with devices without the hassle of pairing and Bluetooth.
Other than that, we think that the Elite 8 Active is clearly the bigger upgrade here. Better sound, transparency, and cooler colors. And at that price, we definitely pick the Elite 8 Active Gen 2. The Elite 10 sound unfortunately hasn't been upgraded for the better. It does have better transparency and maybe better ANC, but those aren't, in our view, a reason to prefer the Elite 10 Gen 2 over the Gen 1. I mean, there's a reason these products aren't called the Elite 9 Active and Elite 11.
Thank you so much guys for watching this video and for your support. It helps us make more free content like this for you guys. And special thanks to our, members and patrons who actually contribute financially to help us.
A special shout out goes to our Fuckman tier peeps, Paula and Gamma Panda. Thank you very, very much. You've been enjoying data from the next generation.
And we've been DHRME. Dewey.
But take a look at the real popsicles, icicles, and testifies to the truth. DHRME. We're twice as big as we used to be.